Hey guys, Depin Inspiration Hub here. So the AETHIR mainnet is live, and today I'm going to teach you how to install the AETHIR checker node on a VPS client. Now what the team did that was very nice is that from the 12th of June to the 27th of June, whether your node is online or offline, you're still going to get the full rewards, so don't feel pressured to get your node up and running immediately. Nevertheless, like I said in my previous video, I'm going to advise everyone to try to set up their node as soon as possible so that you try to learn how to do the installation and also to be able to troubleshoot if you have any issues. So for instance, if initially you had thought to run your node on a Windows PC at home and then later you realize that your internet connectivity is not stable, hence you decided to move, for instance, to a VPS or to a NAS, if you do this within this duration, within this grace period that they will give to you, you wouldn't lose any rewards. But if you do this after the 27th of June, so you can move your node as much as you want. I mean, nobody can penalize you for that per se, but it would just mean that on the day that you would do the transition, you would most likely not get any rewards or you would get less rewards. So try to optimize your node setup within this two weeks grace period. So as always, I'm going to provide a blog post for you where I basically supplied all the commands that we're going to be using today to set up our AETHIR checker node. So of course, if you want to set up your node on a VPS, you're going to need a VPS server. So here I've been using DigitalOcean because it's stable, right? And also because DigitalOcean is very, very fast. And secondly, I have been using them for the testnet and I never had an issue where my node was down or something like that. But it's not limited only to DigitalOcean. There were a few VPS providers out there. Some even have cheaper prices than DigitalOcean. For instance, I know RackNet and Contabo are sometimes a bit lower than for DigitalOcean, so you are free to choose whatever that you want to use. What my recommendation would be for you is that if you are not sure whether you want to use a VPS or not, I would suggest that you sign up, or even if you sign up on DigitalOcean, use my referral link. You're going to get $200 of free credits. And then with the $200 of free credits, you can test DigitalOcean technically for free for 2 months. So for instance, if within the 2 months you realize that, hey, VPS is not for me, or if you realize that I have a different place that I can host my sites and host my node and get a cheaper price, you are free to cancel within the first 2 months and you wouldn't have to pay any additional cost. Now, the advantage also with DigitalOcean is that DigitalOcean comes up with an inbuilt console. So basically when you click on the console, it directly brings you into the console directly without you having to go through a third-party application like PowerShell or PuTTY or whatever it has to be. So now we're going to create a VPS server. To create, just come to create and click on Droplets. And then when Droplets opens, you're basically going to choose a region that is closest to you. I'm going to keep this as New York. And then you're going to scroll down in here. I'm going to use Ubuntu. I'm going to use the latest version, which is also very, very stable. So 24.04. And then I'm going to use, for CPU options, you can use, I believe you can use a regular with an SSD. And then here it's very, very important. This is what tells you what the hardware specifications that you're going to have for your server is going to be. So here my orientation advice would be that go to the AETHIR official docs page, and here they put out the requirements that you're going to need for a node. So you need 64 megabytes of RAM, 1x CPU core, 10 gigabytes of disk space, 10 megabytes of internet connection. And what is very, very important is that the requirements that are listed here are scaled up linearly depending on the number of nodes that you have. So for instance, if you have 5 nodes, take note that you need 50 gigabytes of disk space. You're also going to need 50 megabytes of internet connection, and the amount of RAM and everything is going to scale up. So make sure that before you choose your hardware specifications of your server, you orient yourself to the number of nodes that you have. So I'm going to be using, because I have 1 node, so I'm going to be sticking to the $6 option that is here. This is 1 gigabyte of RAM, 1 CPU core, 25 gigabyte of disk space, and 1 terabyte of transfer, which is more than sufficient for my node. So here, what is important, you're also going to put in your password. With this password, you can connect to your VPS server using third-party applications like PuTTY, like Windows Shell, or like Terminal. So I have put in my password, and basically you can scroll down if you want. You can change the name of your server. So I'm going to change it, for instance, to AETHIR main. And then when this is done, basically just click on create droplets. And then it's going to take a while for your droplet to be completely up and running. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, and then come back to the page. By then, hopefully the installation or the setup of your your VPS server should be ready. Okay, so now my VPS server is up and running. So I did this 2 minutes ago, and it appears was more than sufficient to get the setup ready. So when I enter my VPS server, basically you see how much bandwidth you are using, how much CPU resources you are using, how much disk space and stuff like that. Now to connect to the server on DigitalOcean, you can just click on console, and then like I said, with DigitalOcean, because they have this console inbuilt, it directly takes you to the server. Now here I'm going to take a break and I'm going to explain a few things to you. Not everyone would be spinning up their nodes on DigitalOcean or on a provider that would have an inbuilt console. So I'm going to teach you another way you can connect to the server if you do not have an inbuilt console. Now if you are using Windows, there's an application in Windows that is called PowerShell. So it's called Windows PowerShell. Just open Windows PowerShell, and then when Windows PowerShell opens, use the command ssh root. So root is basically most of the time the username for most of the VPS servers that you're going to set up. And then here you're going to copy the IP address of your server. So just come here, right click on PowerShell. When you right click, it basically paste everything that you have in the clipboard, and then press enter. And then what this is going to do is, whether you're using Windows or Mac, I think it's the same thing. It's going to ask you to be able to add this fingerprint to your PC. So I'm just going to type in yes to add a fingerprint. And at this stage, you're going to put in your password. So just paste in your password, right click. So with PowerShell, when you right click, you don't see what you pasted in, but it has basically pasted in your password, and then just press enter. And then what you see is that it brings me to the same place that I am if I used the console from DigitalOcean. If you are using, so the other applications that you can use, for instance, there is Putty, so Putty, that you can also use to connect to the console. If you are using a Mac operating system, Mac also has an inbuilt application that is called Terminal. So with Terminal, you can also connect to the console, and the commands that you're going to use with the Mac OS is also going to be the same. So SSH space root at your IP address of your VPS server. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the console. So I'm going to minimize everything here. And then now the party is going to begin. So why do I say party? Because we're going to start running the commands that we're going to use to install the application. Now, like I said, I'm going to provide this blog post for you that you're going to use to set up your node. What is important for you to note is that I'm not a Linux expert. I started learning Linux basically when the AETHIR testnet went live. So probably there are better ways of installing the applications that I'm going to do, but this is what is working for me, and that's why I'm sharing this tutorial with you. So take note of that when you are using these tutorials that I'm going to be giving you. So the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to download the application using the wget command. So just come to the console and then paste in this command. Now what this command is basically telling Linux is that it's telling Linux to download the application that is stored in this URL. Now, how do you find out this URL? It could be that maybe there will be a newer version of the application that would be online when you are checking out this video. When you come to the app.aethir.com, when you come to download checker clients, so you see that there are two versions here. So the one that you need is for Linux. So just right click on the Linux and choose copy link address, right? Now, when you copy the link address and you open Notepad, you can paste in the link address, and then basically you can just put before the link address wget space, and it's basically going to give you the same address that I have here. Now what you realize is that I'm not using the EU that I had, I'm using the AS. For some reason the EU link is not working as at the time that I'm recording this video, and that is why I'm providing you the Asian link, which I tested out and was working. Now so that means that whenever there is an update and you want to update your node, you would have to check the new link for the new version that you're going to be copying, and then replace that link in the wget command to install the application. Now after you have pasted this in the console, just press enter, and then it's basically going to download the AETHIR checker node client. So it's a pretty light file, so 7.52 megabytes. You can see that it's already finished downloading. Now we're going to move on to step 3. So in step 3, what we're going to do is we're going to extract the application that we downloaded. So you can see that the application that we downloaded is called AETHIR Checker CLI Linux 1.0.2 AETHIR GZ. So I'm going to copy this command that I have here from my blog post, and I'm going to paste in this command. And like I said, this command is basically going to extract the file that you downloaded. If your application has a different file name, so for instance, if you are in EU, yours might be EU, not AS, you can basically just press on the arrow keys and then basically just edit the file to whatever you have in your case. So like I said, I tested the EU one, it wasn't working, and that's why I'm using the Asian link here. So when you paste this in, just press enter to extract the file. So now we have installed the file. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to install screen. So you can think about screen as sort of a window, a box, a container within which you can run several instances of an application. I find this easy to manage the node when you install it in the screen, but a lot of Linux experts say you don't need to do it on the screen. But for novice, I think I would highly recommend that you do this with a screen. Now to install the screen, just use the command that I've provided here. Paste this in and then press enter, and then this is going to install your screen. And then we're going to create a new screen name that is going to call AETHIR. So think about it like a window or a box within which you want to run the application, and the box within which we want to launch the application, we'll call this box AETHIR. So you can change this AETHIR name to whatever that you want to use, but the screen space -s has to stay the same. So when you press enter, you see that basically it clears everything that you have in the console. This means that you have entered a new space within which you want to run the application. Now the next command that we're going to use is we're going to change into the directory. So this command here, cd, I'm going to copy this. So cd AETHIR checker CLI Linux blah blah just means that there is an application. There's a folder in the application that we extracted and we want to change into that directory. So now for instance, you can type in the command ls to see what you have there. So you can see that this is the file that we downloaded, the red one here, and the one that is in blue is the file that we just extracted. Now what we want to do is that we want to enter this folder that we extracted, and this is the command that I'm going to use. So I'm trying to explain all the commands to you so that you can basically understand what you're doing, so that you can also troubleshoot if you have any issues. So here as well, if for some reason the one that you are using the link that is EU, just make sure that you replace this AS section in the command to EU. But then I'm also in EU and I'm using the Asian link, so I believe that it's also going to work if you use the same commands that I have here. Now we have entered the folder. What we're going to do now is to install a script. So the AETHIR application runs in two instances. One is a script that basically makes sure that the application is going to be running in the background, and the second one is the client itself, where you're going to do creation of a wallet, exporting of a wallet, upsetting, delegation, and stuff like that. Now to install this, we're going to use this sudo install.h, press enter, and basically this is going to install this service that I'm talking about. So just wait a few seconds. It shouldn't take that long for the installation to take place, and then we can proceed to the next steps. So as you can see, it says that everything is fine. It has been installed and started successfully. This command is optional, but I will do it anyway just to make sure that I restart the system operations that are running. I'm going to paste this in here and I'm going to press enter, and then this is basically going to reload the system D. Now what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to run the application, and this is the command that you're going to need to run the application. So just copy the command here. So to explain, the application is called AETHIR checker CLI. So for instance, here when I type ls basically displays whatever that you have in the folder. So you can see here that I have 5 files. I have the AETHIR checker, I have the checker service, I have the config, and the install.sh is what we installed previously. So now we want to launch the client's application, and this application is called AETHIR checker CLI. That's why we're going to use this command here. So I'm going to paste in the command and I'm going to press enter to start the application. So now when the application starts, what I also want to teach you here is that, so a lot of people were putting in some commands, and it's very important that the AETHIR specific command, so every command in the AETHIR application that starts with the word AETHIR, you can only put that command when you are inside the application. And how would you know that you are inside the application? You would know that you are inside the application when you have this place inputs here. So now here, what I'm going to have to do, we're going to have to accept the terms and conditions by pressing Y. And then sometimes it happens that says here that I put in Y, but sometimes it just doesn't go through, but that's fine. You get a notification here that you need to create a wallet, and then now we're going to create a new wallet. Now to create a new wallet, just come to AETHIR wallet create. I'm going to copy this command here, and then I'm going to paste this command in here, and then I'm going to press enter, and this is going to create a new wallet for you. Now what you would need is that to do the delegation, we're going to need a public key, but I would also highly recommend that you copy everything from current private key to public key, so that you can import the wallet anytime you want to use the same wallet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this public key. I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose copy, and then I'm going to go to the AETHIR dashboard. Now, when you are here, what you're going to have to do first is connect your wallet. So I'm just going to click on connect wallet, and I'm going to choose a wallet that I want to use. So I'm going to use MetaMask. And then here, I'm going to connect to the wallet that has my not my testnet, but a mainnet license, or the mainnet NFT. And I'm going to sign the transaction, and then this should log me into my dashboard. So here everything looks 0, although we participate in the testnet. So like I said, participation in the testnet, the tokens there will not be transferred to the mainnet. What you would have to do here is to come to licenses. So if you haven't done anything with your license is going to be free, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the delegation. To do the delegation, you can click on delegates here. If you have multiple licenses and you want to delegate multiple licenses as well, you can just click on this to choose all the licenses that you want to delegate, and then click on delegate and basically paste in the public key that we just generated. Like in my case, I have only one, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm just going to click on delegate, and then here I'm going to paste in the public key that I copied. I'm just going to click on delegate. Now, what is important is that mainnet is on Arbitrum 1. So the testnet was on Sepolia, so the gas fees were pretty free. On mainnet, because it's on Arbitrum 1, you're going to need some ETH on Arbitrum chain for gas fees. So you can see that Arbitrum, the gas fees are extremely low, so 0.11, which is very, very good. So I'm going to confirm the transaction, and then basically the delegation should take place. I'm going to refresh this here. Sometimes it takes a while for the status to change from free to pending. I'm just going to wait a while till this completely goes through. So now you can see that the delegation status has changed to pending. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the console and we're going to accept the delegation. So I'm just going to push this to the right. Now to accept the delegation, the command that you're going to use is AETHIR license approve all. So just come here, copy this command, come here, paste in the command. Sorry, not use I used Control C, but somehow Control C doesn't work on the console, so that's why I highly recommend that you always right click and choose paste it. In some applications, Control C in Linux actually means terminate, so it's basically going to terminate the application. So my advice or my recommendation would be that always right click and click paste. So I'm going to put this to accept the license. So you see that I have a notification saying license operation approved success. So I'm going to go back. So if you look at my guide, it says that you can also run the command AETHIR license summary to see if the license is working. So I'm just going to paste this in here, and I'm going to press enter. And then basically you get a summary of everything that is going. So here you see that my checker node is ready. Checking means that your checker node is online. Checking means that your checker node is online and it's performing a checker task. Ready means your checker node is ready, but it's currently idle and not performing a checker task. What you don't want to see is your node being offline or your node being banned. I hope no one will get this, but basically if your node is on check-in already, you're good to go. If your node is at pending, then it means that the delegation that you did not work, so you basically have to approve, use the rights command to approve the delegation. So now when I go to the owner console, which is here, and I refresh the page, you see that now my delegation status is ready, and basically the setup process is complete. So from a technical side, basically your node is up and running. You can close the application at this instance. What I personally recommend to users is that do not kill the application. Press Ctrl A, leave the keyboard and press D. What this does is that it basically minimizes the application for you, so that if you want to connect to it next time, just press screen, type the command screen -R, and it's basically going to bring you into the application. Now what I want to give you an added on tip. If you try to use any, so if you are not at a session where it's saying please input, so currently you see that I'm at root blah 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 without a please input, and I type in any AETHIR command, it's not going to work, right? Why is it not going to work? Because I'm not in the application. These commands from AETHIR only works when you are in the AETHIR application. So I'm going to go back into the application. And then here, if I use any AETHIR specific command, so like AETHIR license summary, you see that it's going to work because I'm inside our AETHIR application. If I use the same command AETHIR license summary outside the application, it's not going to work because I'm not in the application. These commands are only going to work when you are in the application. So please take note of this when you are setting up your node. if everything is up and running, you usually don't need to come to the client to do anything. Your node is going to be online. It's also going to be performing the task because the service is running in the background. But if for any reason you want to come in here and check that things are working, you can use, like I said, you can use a command screen -R, and it's basically going to restore the screen for you to be able to perform your application. If you have several instances of the screen that is running, you can use a command ls to display everything. Sorry, it's not ls, screen -ls to list all the screens that are running. So here you see that I have one screen that is running that is called 2028. So when I use the command screen -R 2028, it's going to bring me back into the screen. So I have one screen running. That's why it's very easy to manage. So like I said, before you leave the screen, please press Ctrl+AD to minimize the application before you leave the screen. So that's it for this tutorial. I'll highly recommend, if you like my channel, you subscribe to my channel and like this video. It goes to support my channel as well. And whenever there is a new tutorial as to how you can update your node or stuff like that, I'm going to push the tutorial to you so that you can also set up your node. If the whole setup with VPS, with the commands and stuff hunts you, you can also choose to delegate your node to NodeOps. So NodeOps is a NAS provider, and here with just a few clicks, they're going to do everything for you. They're not going to take some of your results, your rewards. You basically have to pay the subscription fee, and then your node is going to be up and running without you having to worry about updating your nodes and stuff like that. Here as well, I'm going to put my referral link in the comment section. If you use my referral link, you're also going to get some discount on them. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching the video. I'm going to put the link to the blog post in the description, and then feel free to follow the blog post to set up your node. If you have any questions, like I always say, you can reach out to me on on Twitter at DEPINSPHUB, or you can also reach me on Telegram at DEPINSPHUB, and I'm very happy to help you out. So thanks for watching the video, and see you in the next one. Bye.